the potential
Wow.
there. Yeah. So
No problems in New Jersey like Vegas right now. Let's welcome in Ken Daneyko. Ken, how are you?
I'm good, fellas. And, well, if you're looking at the season, yeah, there's plenty of problems, but certainly we're somewhat optimistic moving forward. That's how I'll put it.
Nice. Did you ever have a no trade in your contract? Did Lou give you any of those?
Oh, gosh. Yeah, absolutely. Every one of them. No. My no trade was, Kenny, if you play bad tomorrow, you're out of here. If you don't, you'll be here 20 years. That was my verbal, unwritten agreement.
Nice. As we get ready for the Toronto Maple Leafs versus New Jersey, can you listen? We know New Jersey's been through a transition the last few years, but can you explain why the Leafs have the Devils' number? You know, since going back to 2018.
Well, look, a lot of teams have had their number, and they've been able to break that trend with a lot of them. Washington, they couldn't beat for the life of them. They beat them earlier this year when they were playing well in the first 10 games of the year. And St. Louis, they couldn't beat for the life of them, just like same record as far as the struggles that they have against the Leafs, and they beat the St. Louis Blues twice this year. So those are strides. And for all intents and purposes, from my standpoint, they definitely should have won the game in Toronto, up 4-2 going to the third, and they just imploded on themselves. I think it was more of what they did, not what the Leafs did in that one. And then the Leafs blew them out in Jersey. That wasn't even a contest. So, you know, it's just a team that in the last 5, 6, 7 years, a lot of teams have had their number because they haven't been very good. That's the bottom line. But with the nucleus they got now this year, it's kind of been at times all or nothing. And it's about that consistency. I mean, they've scored 7 goals 6 times this year. They haven't done that since my days when we won the Stanley Cup in 2000. That was the last time that was done in one season. And it's against some top teams. So it's finding that balance, guys, and Nick, about can they back it up the next night? They haven't been very good on the road. This is a tough spot for them, certainly against the Leafs. Despite their struggles against them, it would have been a tough spot regardless. But it's just that learning to win phase, man, on a consistent basis. And, yes, goaltending, I think we've talked about it before, has been a real problem spot, the number of guys who use them. But I will tell you, I'm very, very high on Nico Dawes moving forward. He's only a 21-year-old goaltender, and he's got all the right mindset and tools to be a real good goalie in this league. And I think he'll be going again tonight, getting back-to-back starts.
Ken, I think one of the reasons it seems like the Devils are taking such strides is with Jack Hughes. You know, like you're never guaranteed a first overall pick becoming great, or rarely guaranteed it anyway. You look at Lafreniere and Dahlin and still waiting to see what some of these guys can be. But Hughes this year seems to have really taken a stride, 21 goals in just 43 games. What are your thoughts on where his game is at?
Yeah, it's really nice to see. I mean, he's got all the makings of being an elite star player in this league, like a lot of the great players. And I've always said, look, number 1 overall picks, we've had it twice, and you're going, at the time, there wasn't really generational players. They don't come around too often, the Matthews, the Crosbys, and the Ovechkins and guys like that who, at 18 years old, step in and can dominate or at least have a huge impact. So he's progressed nicely, but he wasn't insulated as an 18-year-old, so when he only had 21 points, I believe it was, came on, what's wrong, Jack Hughes? He was a baby. Now he's becoming more of a man. He's got some pieces around him, some other young players that can keep up with him, and he is just, I'll tell you, for a guy that, you know, has all the skill sets to be a star and a 100-point guy in this league, whatever it may be eventually, he's got a drive, and all the great ones have it. He's got an internal drive, and it's real nice to see. It's refreshing because we don't always see that in today's game with enough players where
right.
He's got to drive. When he's got 2 points, he wants 3 or 4. And it's about winning. It's about his team, but he's got a little chip on his shoulder. And I love to see that in star players, highly skilled guys. He's never satisfied. And so I just think he's only going to get better and better. He's just a real electrifying player that skates extremely well, can really separate himself from the defender with that great skating ability, his vision. And he's just starting to figure it out with the mind, the hands, the feet, and when to shoot, when to pass. And that took him a couple of years for sure. But But man, have I enjoyed watching them play. You know, even if they don't win, we got some players that at least put on a show for you pretty well on a nightly basis, and that's Bratt. That's Nico Hischier's been terrific. He's more in the mold of a Patrice Bergeron, and yes, that's a high compliment, but he's played that well for the Devils. You can see it coming. I'm not saying he is Patrice Bergeron, but his offense is coming too. So these guys are fun, but led by Jack Hughes, and that's why there's high hope. They figure out some things on defense. They figure out goaltending. They think they can be a team finally maybe pushing for a playoff spot going into next year.
We're speaking with Ken Daneyko, the voice of the New Jersey Devils and the NHL Network. Hey, Ken, just prior to maybe seeing Jack go to the next level here, they signed him to an 8-year, $8 million contract, and it's one that kind of raised eyebrows.
Yeah.
and I mean, in a short period, maybe you're starting to think that it could look like a pretty good deal moving forward here. But at the time, and maybe it's just more about where the league is and less about what New Jersey did. But man, oh man, that's kind of one of those contracts where you don't really know what you know.
No, Nick, you're absolutely right. And obviously the Devils saw what we're seeing now and believe that we're putting our eggs in one basket here as far as our go-to guy, our main man. We see it. We know he's going to develop. They wanted to make him happy early. And again, going back to that internal drive and a competitor and a leader, I think they've seen that at a young age, regardless of the production offensively, that they're going, we want to make him happy. Don't forget Luke Hughes is coming into the fold, and we want him to settle in. He's our man. We want him to understand that. And at times, of course, that could be high risk. That hasn't been the way in New Jersey ever, really, for a long, long time. But from what I've seen and what they've seen, I think they hedged their bet. I think they feel they're going to be pretty happy with it at the end of the day. But he is going to be a star, if not already. And he's a guy, like I said, Luke Hughes coming in the fold. You want to keep the Hughes brothers happy, and for all intents and purposes, this kid looks like a stud, too, on the back end, a freshman in college at Michigan. He's up for the Hobie Baker Award already. The kid's pretty dynamic as well. So if Jersey's fate and fortunes may lay in the hands of the Hughes brothers moving forward, so maybe that had something to do with it, too. But it may look nice down the road in 3-4 years. You're absolutely right.